Today we are making this butternut squash risotto. It is a fall dinner dream come true. It's got hearty kale in it and it's loaded with fresh herbs. You're gonna love it, so let's get started. Start by cutting the butternut squash. So the first thing is I like to peel it. So we're just gonna take our peeler, go all the way around. All right, and then flip it over. They are very slippery, so just be careful. Cut the root ends off. This is where the seeds are. So where it kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Where the neck ends, it's where I like to slice it. And then you can take this, set it down to be safe, and cut it in half. And then you can remove the seeds. Now, if you're short on time, you want to make this on a weeknight, you can use frozen butternut squash. Just obviously skip all this prep and then you won't need to cook it for as long. Okay, I'm gonna start cutting. I'm gonna cut it into rounds. And then just for ease sake, this little part, I'm gonna just turn it on its side and cut it in half, just so my fingers are safe, and then that gives me a flat surface to slice planks again. Dice the butternut squash into about 1/2-inch pieces. Think about the size that you want them to be when you're eating your risotto. And make them as even as possible, just so they do cook at the same rate. Okay, we'll need about 4 cups. I'm gonna use my kitchen scale to help me. It's just the most accurate way to do that. Okay, when you get to the half moon part, just slice them into planks again and then just go around it in that dice. Now for the onion, and I'm just gonna cut off the end, leaving the root intact. Then go ahead and peel the paper. And then go ahead and slice through the half, not cutting through that root end, and then dice it crossways, and you have a perfectly good dice. And we will mince the garlic, of course. We've got garlic in here. I'm gonna use my trusty garlic press here. You don't even need to take the paper off. Squeeze it on in, scrape it off. Easy peasy. And now for our herbs, fresh, what do we have? Fresh sage and thyme. It cannot be a fall risotto without the two. So just pluck off the sage leaves. And then the thyme, just pull those leaves off of the stem. Definitely do not have to be exact when you're measuring herbs. It's my opinion. Start by adding 3 tablespoons of butter to a Dutch oven or large stock pot that's over about medium-high heat, and we'll let those melt. Now the onion and the butternut squash go in together. Of course, with a pinch of salt. And now this will saute for about 8 minutes or so until they start to soften, which is going to create a really flavorful base for our risotto. Next up, the garlic and herbs are gonna go in, and a pinch of red pepper flakes, because I love them. You could also just use freshly ground black pepper for a tiny little kick, and another pinch of salt for good measure. This will saute for just a minute to get that garlic nice and fragrant. Oh, it already smells so good. Next up, the rice is gonna go in on its own so it toasts up for a minute. Stir to coat it in all the goodness, and it'll absorb any remaining butter that's in the pan as it toasts up. Now, instead of white wine that's typically used in risotto, I'm using a little apple cider vinegar. It has the same effect. It adds that acidity, a little sweetness, and depth to the risotto, but is a really accessible alcohol-free option. As it goes in and you hear that sizzle, you can scrape up any brown bits, just like you would if you're deglazing with white wine. If you do want to use wine instead, double the amount since the vinegar is extra acidic. I only use a little bit of it. Give the rice a minute to absorb that. And as it does, I'm gonna grab the vegetable stock. Now, the vegetable stock has been heating on the stove just to get it warm so that when it's added to the risotto, it's not cold and it doesn't shock it. So if you're doing this on your stovetop and not a hot plate, just have the stock on a burner next to it, and then we'll scoop it in just like you'll see me do here. Okay, so the key with risotto is that we're gonna add a little bit of warmed stock bit by bit as it absorbs. That's when the rice releases the starches and gets really creamy and delicious. So risotto can get kind of a bad rap because of constant stirring. Now, you do want to stir it frequently, but if you need to go, step away for a minute, it's not the end of the world. And as you're stirring it and that liquid gets absorbed, you'll just eyeball it for when it's time to add more. One of my favorite things about making risotto is when it's like a weekend night and I'm making a nice dinner. You can have a glass of wine in one hand and the kitchen tune's playing, and you dance and you make risotto, and it's a super fun night. My arm's tired already. I need to work out more. The other key thing to note about making risotto is that you have to use arborio rice. Don't use long grain rice or anything like that you think would be a substitute. It has to be arborio rice because that is the rice that makes risotto and gets that really creamy, delicious, almost pasta-like texture. So use it. Okay, there's just a little bit of stock left, so this is the perfect time to go ahead and test the rice. You'll want it to be al dente, so similar to pasta, kind of have a chew, but not be crunchy. So let's see where it's at. It's perfect, actually, so I'm not even gonna add the rest of the stock. There's only probably, I don't know, maybe a half cup there. It does need a little salt, but keep in mind we're gonna add a little Parmesan, so that will add some saltiness. And it's time to wilt in the kale. And since I'm not adding any more stock, I'm just gonna let this wilt down a little bit. The kale will continue to wilt down. I'm gonna add a little Parmesan cheese and the last 2 tablespoons of butter for a little added creaminess. So once these are melted in, we'll be ready. I'm so excited to try this. I wish you could smell it. Oh, I've got to get a bite of everything. Okay. So good. That creamy butternut squash paired with those herbs, it truly is a fall dinner dream come true. And my family used to do risotto throwdowns, and I'm pretty sure this version would win. I'm gonna have to start those back up again. In the meantime, leave me a comment below and let me know if there's another risotto recipe that I should try next. I'll see you back here next week for another meatless meal that everyone loves. Until then, happy eating. Oh, hi. It's already. Perfect, savory. That's why I like to start with, well, I don't know that that is very logical, actually. Scratch that.